All right, I think we are live. Good afternoon. It's a beautiful day for an internship panel, as it always is. I don't know, Aisha, how that always works out. It's always a really pretty day outside when we have an employer panel. Welcome to today's Mavs Edge Internship Spotlight panel. I'm David Powers. I'm the Assistant Director of Internships with UTA's Lockheed Martin Career Development Center. I assist employers with internship program development and direct our Mavs Edge internship program. I'm joined by our Mavs Edge program facilitator, Ayesha. Ayesha, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Aishas Shaji. I'm a psychology and journalism major here at UTA. I'm also the Mavs Edge Internship Facilitator at Internships.
Thank you, and thank you all again for joining us. We're really excited to welcome representatives from Visa today as our spotlight guest, and we're very grateful to Visa for being such a wonderful partner in a lot of different ways, other than just being an Edge partner. Attendees, you may begin sending your questions to the panel at any time during the event using the Q&A or ask a question feature. We'll choose several student questions for our representatives near the end of the presentation, but let's get started by meeting our panelists, beginning with Visa's University Relations Liaison, Dhanya Thomas. Dhanya, would you care to please tell us a little about yourself and your role at Visa?
Yeah, hi David, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Dhanya Thomas, as David just said. I'm a university programs liaison with Visa. I've been on this team now for a little over 2 years. My main role is to manage the relationship between Visa and several of our universities across the US. And I recently took on UT Arlington. So as of late last year, in addition to my role as supporting the university, supporting faculty and our industry relations, I also manage our on-campus strategy, including our events and things like that. And then during the summer, I would be your point of contact for any internship related things. So all intern events are managed by me in the Austin office. And then of course, since we shifted virtually, I manage the intern program virtually as well.
Thank you. Again, we're excited to have you. And we know students are going to learn a lot about the program today. So we appreciate you being here. Now let's meet our student intern, Leandro. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Leandro Vargas, and I am a junior at UTA, and I am a returning intern at Visa. I did both offsite and onsite. Last year was internet over the web, and the first was Highlands Ranch. So I have a good perspective on both ends in case you're wanting to do Visa internships like next year if the world gets better, and I can give you some help on that, or if if they still do it online, and also have a perspective on that. And I worked for the system analyst team in Highlands Ranch, Colorado.
Thank you. We certainly hope the world gets better sooner rather than later. This summer would be great, or even spring. Before we get started with the questions, I'm going to turn the session over to Dhanya for a brief overview of the Visa's program. Dhanya, would you like to take it?
Yeah, thanks, David. I'm sure that you have all heard of Visa, but I wanted to give a quick overview. So I'm going to share one slide with some pointers. Let me go ahead and do that. And can you all see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
Here we go. Now it's happening.
Oh, wait. I think this is the wrong screen. Sorry. As I told David right before, I was like, yeah, I'm super familiar and sharing my screen. So
it wouldn't be any fun if something like this didn't happen. You know?
Right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. The slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, we're Visa. We are a payments technology company with over 3.2 billion Visa cards on the market. Millions of merchant locations, over 16,000 plus financial institution partners. And we are one of the world's most advanced payment processing networks. So I think a lot of students and people in general just kind of confuse us as a credit card company, but we're actually not a credit card company. We are the company that helps power all of your transactions. We're a payments technology company. So total fun fact about Visa, this past year, our total Visa volume on our network just surpassed $11 trillion in March 2020. And I think that's because, I think y'all would agree, it's because the pandemic kind of made Visa, a lot of electronic payments kind of bloom and blossom in that time. So we've been disrupting the payments industry for a long time now. So not only do we have a payment method by card, but we're also the company that powers your transactions via like wearables, like your Apple Watch, via your phone, things like that. So next time you're at the grocery store and you're tapping your phone to pay, we are the company that makes that payment happen. So it's a little bit about us, and that's some things probably you didn't know, or you probably thought Visa was just a credit card company. More so, we also hire a lot of different student interns and new college graduates, mainly in the technology area. Within that technology area, we don't just mean software engineers. We hire a lot of systems analysts, as Leandro is and was. And then also like product managers, product analysts, different things like that, all in the technology realm. So technology doesn't necessarily just mean coding, heads down all day. There are a lot of different ways that you can impact the company, and we hire mainly technologists. And so I'm hoping that you can kind of learn about us today and what kind of roles that we have available. If you want to, if you're interested in applying, we have a few more roles available for us. If you wanted to, you can visit us at vi.sa/apply to see our internship and new college graduate opportunities. And on top of those technology opportunities, for those of you that are not interested in moving into technology, which I think the world is shifting towards technology, you don't necessarily have to be a computer science major or some kind of like technology type major to be in technology. Side note there. But we do also hire things like HR analysts and other types of business roles as well. So just check out that website. If you have any questions, I'll also put my email in the chat, and you can also reach out to David for details as well. So thanks so much for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you for the overview. And since Dhanya currently has the floor, we're going to ask a few program questions, and then we'll spend some time chatting with Leandro about his experience on site with Visa. I mean, you really brought a question to mind right away, Dhanya, in your presentation that I hear students ask very frequently, or maybe not ask, but when we have information sessions or information tables or have employers on campus, one thing that I know that students always learn from those visits is the number of opportunities that are available within a different company or corporation. I know a lot of times, as you said, folks, you hear Visa, you think credit cards, and you mentioned a few roles that you might place interns in outside of that area. But could you talk about a few more opportunities or offices or departments within Visa that potentially host interns?
Absolutely. So typically we host interns in a normal year, of course, pre-COVID. We host interns at all of our locations around the United States. I would say majority of interns are within our three most popular locations. Leandro, I know you interned in our Colorado office. That's one of our big ones. Majority of our interns, though, do end up working in either our Foster City Bay Area, which is our headquarters, and then in our Austin office, which is our second largest office, and that's where I'm based out of. So you'd be seeing a lot of me, and I always vouch for the Austin office there. And then second part of the question, what was the second part of the question you said?
Well, I don't think I asked it very well, but I was trying to get at, you mentioned opportunities within an HR department or possibly computer science or engineering. What other fields or opportunities like that might be available within Visa? I know it's such a large company.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say any major can really apply to Visa, and I would say that for really any company. I don't think that you should be limited by your major on what you can do. Ayesha, you said that you were a psychology major. I don't want to, any psychology majors and things like that, they can all apply to any of our roles. We don't really look for a specific computer science or business major, whatever. We mainly just look for students who are wanting to make an impact. They don't necessarily have to be like a business or a computer science major. Some of the different roles that we have, aside from our majority of our roles are software engineers, systems analysts, very technologically focused. But aside from that, we do have, so we have a small number of HR roles. We have marketing, we have finance, we have all of the corporate and business functions as well. But I highly encourage students to kind of think outside their comfort zone in terms of applying. So you don't necessarily have to do exactly what your major says, but just kind of look outside the box and see what you're interested in and just tell us your story.
Excellent. That's perfect. You got us exactly where I wanted us to go to see opportunities within those different departments, because I know a lot of students not having the experience to work in the field just aren't aware of the multiple opportunities in different departments and different majors who might be eligible for those kinds of programs. I know the other big question that we're all thinking about all the time, whether we want to or not, is the pandemic. Could you talk a little bit about how the pandemic affected Visa's internship program, if at all, some of the changes you've made, kind of what you see moving forward?
Yeah, so obviously biggest change was we moved 100% virtually to 100% virtual setting, I should say. And we moved from what our typical internship would be, where you work with the manager and you work with the team one-on-one, and you do a project end to end, to more, this is last summer. Last summer we did more of kind of a cohort-based experience, where we had the interns, and Leandro, I know that you can attest to this too. We had a couple of different like big challenges. So we had an intern challenge, where a case study challenge, and then we also had a hackathon as our two big events. And interns worked on that kind of throughout the summer. We also shortened the internship experience, just so, because it was such a quick turnaround to make the whole program virtual. Shortened it, but I think our two biggest events that had impact were the hackathon and the case challenge, where students came together, worked as a team to solve an issue within the organization. But within that, they also had access to some of our leadership and some of our different folks in management across the company as well throughout that experience. Even though they didn't have that like project-based experience, they still had the ability to meet and network with not only their fellow interns, but with some of our leadership as well. In addition to those like kind of educational pieces, we tried to bring in the social aspects that we normally have during our internship as well. So we had different social events that my team managed. So we had like an art night, like a paint night, and then that we sent out cards to Operation Gratitude, which is a nonprofit for veterans. And then we also had like bingo night and like a couple of different social activities where the interns could kind of meet with each other, but just kind of a mix. This summer, we are looking to have a still virtual internship, but at the same time, I think that we are going to look at that one-on-one having manager and a project kind of experience, a little bit different than last summer, but still virtual.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, I know how difficult that is to do, to shift to an all virtual experience. I think we've all learned how difficult that is to do. And it sounds like you were able to, I think the challenge that we all face is, how do you stay connected, through Zoom and some of these virtual events. It sounds like you spent a lot of time thinking about how to keep those students connected, which is awesome. That's really awesome to hear. I know that most all companies, one of the great benefits in having an internship program is creating a talent pipeline. I mean, that is typically, the goal. And obviously for the student, their goal in the internship itself, or the dream, is that it leads to a full-time position. Could you talk about how Visa uses internships to fill full-time positions? And I know that's difficult information to track a lot of the time, but if you had any thoughts or numbers about your conversion rates and how many interns you might bring on full-time and that sort of thing.
Yeah, our goal as an intern, as a university programs team, is to convert all of our interns into either returning interns or full-time employees after their internship. So we typically don't create intern roles unless the team itself has a full-time position waiting for them post-graduation. So Leandro, I think that'll be the same for you. I know that you come back a couple of times now, and we want to make sure that you come back to a full-time role whenever you do graduate. Our conversion rate is around, I want to say it's almost like an 80% conversion rate. And we accept, we expect students to kind of move around from company to company if they need to, or if they are looking for something else, something different. That's fine. But our goal is really to create an experience that they're not only learning, but they're having fun and just really getting immersed in the culture. And we hope that they come back. And we try to do as much as possible to retain our talent, because we know that our next generation talent, our early career talent, is kind of like they're going to be like the next leaders of the company. So we're very aware of that.
Yeah, very intentional. I mean, it sounds very, very intentional, which is fantastic. And like I said, more attractive to students knowing that there's a great opportunity potentially at the end of the experience. I know we were talking, I think before we went live, about your recruitment timeline, your current needs. I think a lot of students who are entering the internship search for the first time are curious about when to start, when to apply. Could you talk a little bit about what your recruitment timeline looks like and when you're really out there talking to students and collecting applications?
Yeah, our internship timeline is kind of similar to a lot of the different companies' recruitment timeline as far as like early talent goes. We typically start our recruitment process in August or September. This year was a lot different than it has been in the past. This past year, I think we started only like, I think we only started kind of in January just because of COVID and everything, just trying to figure out our numbers and everything. But during a typical year, start around August or September, and we're usually finished with majority of our recruitment process by October, November timeframe. And then we'll have like a lighter recruiting season in the spring as well. So like January to March, we'll also do another round of recruitment. Obviously, again, this year we did majority of our recruitment starting in January to like now. And I think that was kind of a special circumstance with just kind of shifting with COVID and figuring out where we can place our interns and how many we can hire and things like that. But highly recommend students to kind of start as early as possible with recruiting. I know a lot of the time, a lot of students don't necessarily think about recruiting or internships or full-time opportunities until like April or May, but companies are out there as early as like those first couple weeks of school. And we're ready for you all. So I would say like start doing research as early as like the summer on what it is that you want to do and what companies that you want to talk to. And then come ready full gear to start talking to companies and telling them your story by early fall.
Excellent. That's really great information. I know it can be confusing when you start that search, and you definitely don't want to miss a window. And I know this next question, I get this frequently from students, but it's really tough to answer, especially there's so many factors involved. It depends on the position for which the student is applying, a lot of different variables. But I often am asked, what kinds of characteristics does Visa look for in potential interns? Maybe if we could frame that in, in a kind of in relation to your mission or to the vision of the company, potentially. I know that's a very general and vague question. Would you have anything to offer in terms of what makes a great Visa intern?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think 100%, I think I mentioned this earlier before, we're not really looking for someone who has, a ton of experience, right? Or that has like a lot of internships under their belt. We want someone who's able to tell their story clearly. So where have you made an impact on the university? Where have you made an impact on students? So like, for example, like student organizations, leadership opportunities, what have you made an impact to in your student job? Things like that. If you're able to just kind of tell me about how you came into to UT Arlington and you made a difference or a change or an impact and you kind of saw it through, I think that really kind of makes you stand out. Not necessarily, of course, like previous internship experience is great. If you're able to tell me a story about how you made an impact there, that's even better. I think we really just want to hear that story. Another thing is don't discount any classroom experience. So if you, and I think I say this specifically for like computer scientists or these like technology focused majors, they're like, oh, I don't have any experience working on such and such technology, or even like business backgrounds. Like I don't have experience doing accounting or something like that. Yes, you do. You have that experience in the classroom. You learned about it through school. So walk me through a project that you had that semester, walk me through a group project, you can use examples from the classroom that counts as experience, and to not kind of like let that go, don't let that be a kind of a block in the road of like not having experience.
Right. And I think so many students think they have to have 2 and 3 jobs on their resume, to qualify for an internship or to apply. So that's great information that, be active on campus, be active in leadership, be active in your classes. I mean, there's lots of different ways to gain experience. Really good tips. I know another concern for new interns is just getting acclimated to the culture of a company. You know, the onboarding process, the training process, the networking piece, which can be terrifying to new interns. Could you talk a little bit, or are you involved at all in the onboarding process for those interns and what that kind of looks like?
Yeah, actually, prior to this role, I was on the global onboarding team, so that was a big role of mine. I was doing all of the employee onboarding for our U.S. interns and our new college grads, as well as the company. Really big on onboarding, and I will say, I think so. Obviously, like from an HR standpoint, we try to make sure that everything's as smooth as possible for you all, and that you have everything that you need in order to start. From like just an individual team standpoint, and I think Leandro, I think that you would kind of agree to this as well. I think each team is kind of different. We want you to be as acclimated as possible. Each team will you'll have a buddy within your organization that'll kind of help you. That's like your sounding board kind of person, rather than going to your manager for any kind of small questions that you think you're like, oh, maybe I should already know this. We assign you a buddy, or your manager will assign you a buddy that you can go to for any small questions and things like that. And then just to have somebody to kind of help you. I know Leandro, sorry to use you as an example, you're here all the time. You're here. So
What is here for, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, he moved to Colorado, and I hope that, you had a buddy to kind of let you know about things to do in the Highlands Ranch area, people to kind of just get you acclimated to the community. So in addition to that, if you're a new college graduate, we also have employee resource groups. So you can kind of join one of those. And so we have different ones, like our Latinx resource group, our Vibe, which is Visa Black Employees, and a bunch of different resource groups for our talent. And if you don't have, if you don't see an employee resource group that you are like, I don't know, I might not be a good fit for any of these, you can create your own employee resource group. So for example, I don't know if I would call it an employee resource group, but I started the Visa Running Club in Austin. It's probably been about 2 years now. And I think 2 years ago, our goal was to run a half marathon at the end of the year. That didn't happen, but we are running one. This month, but it's virtual, of course. So you can kind of make it what you want. Lots of different.
I gotta stop you. I gotta ask about that. So what's the virtual run look like? How do you do that? What do you do? Like a GoPro?
Well, so the organization is really small, and it was people that I kind of knew in the office. So we were running kind of socially distant, but
okay.
But to Visa, it was very virtual, we were conducting meetings and stuff. And I think Visa running clubs turned into our own personal running club, but it started as the Visa running club 2 years ago. But lots of different areas to kind of make your own and make it what you will. So that onboarding process. And then, on top of that, you don't necessarily have to know everything about Visa once you are on board as well. You kind of just have to know Visa is a technology company, but you don't necessarily have to know Leandro. I'm sure you didn't know any of the systems and the different things that go on in between each organization, or we have 12 different technology organizations. So once you're on board, we try to make sure that you're acclimated there and that you kind of understand what makes our business run once you're on board. So you don't necessarily have to know everything right off the bat, but lots of different ways to get involved, but you kind of make it what you want.
Yeah, that's super. Yeah, and it's great to know that you have that kind of flexibility and get students kind of cater to the students' interest. And I think running a half marathon is a fantastic goal too, as well. So I really like that. I know, Leandro, we're about to get to your portion of the questions, but in kind of wrapping things up, Dhanya, I was curious. I know that there's a link, I think, to apply in the chat, and contact information as well. But kind of a simple question, I suppose: how can interested students apply for internships? And I think you said that you're probably near the deadline, maybe for application potentially. Yeah. You could talk about that really quickly, please, to wrap us up.
Yeah, absolutely. We are kind of close to a finishing point for recruiting season. I think we do still have a couple of roles available online. You can go to vi.sa/apply, and I can put that in the chat as well. vi.sa/apply. If you wanted to look at some of our open roles, I think we do still have a few available, especially in the technology space. And you can reach out to me directly if you do have any questions.
Super. You have been fantastic. That's a lot of great information. I'm going to turn things over to our program facilitator, Ayesha, and allow her to let us get to know Leandro a bit better. Ayesha?
Hi again. So, Leandro, my first question is, like, can you just get us started with your role and responsibilities at Liaison?
So my role the first semester when I was on site, I was a system analyst, and like Dhanya said, I had no idea about anything. So it took a couple of weeks, talking to people, talking to coworkers, having meetings and training to get that side of visa. But my manager was fortunate enough because I am computer science, and he actually had assigned a big project for me and one other intern, and it had to do more with what I like to do, which is code and just basically what I was doing in class at that time. So the first role was that basically, and the second one online, the online portion of the internship. We did have two projects, like Danya said. The first one was like a big, like a thinking. Danya, I forgot what it was called, but you know which one I'm referring to.
The case challenge or the
Yeah, the case challenge.
Okay.
The case, that's what it was. I forgot. But yeah, it was a case challenge where we were in a group of like, I believe 6 or 7 people, and it was like a 6 to 8 week, no, 3 week project, 3-4 week project. And then also I participated in not the hackathon, but they had like a security challenge with another intern. So I did that as well in my second intern.
That sounds pretty cool. But what was your application process like for the interview and for your position at Liaison?
So what I did was join an organization called SHP, Society of Hispanics Professional and Engineers. And every year they host a yearly conference at a location. And in my case, it was in Ohio. And we actually drove up there, which was crazy. It was like so long. But once we got there, there's basically your normal conference. And I decided to go to the Visa one because they had like a bright LED light, and it looked cool. And then once I talked to the manager, I guess he liked what I had to say, and he had me done an interview for the next day. And what was crazy is because I still remember there was a person in front of me, and he had like two jobs or 3 jobs, and he was talking to the same manager for the same position. And I'm over here with no internship experience because I am a sophomore at that time. And I just wanted to say that, so if you don't have any experience, don't be scared to like go to conferences or apply to visa, or talk to if you're in a conference, talk to a manager, because you never know what might happen. And then after that, I did the interview. A couple of weeks later, I heard back from another manager, from my manager's manager. We had a phone interview, and then after that, it was I got the good news that I got the internship for that summer.
That's really cool. Thank you so much for the tip. I mean, most of us are scared that we don't have any internships in our resume, so we're afraid to like actually apply, but that's actually pretty cool. But you've been working with Visa for a while now, and you've obviously been successful. So what are some potential tips that you can give the interns or people who are going to apply soon to make the most out of their experience and be successful?
So to make the most out of your experience at Visa, I would say just try to talk to as many people as possible. They encourage that heavily. I remember going to a couple of meetings, and they were like, talk to other people, talk to other managers, associate yourself with multiple teams, because you never know if you want to switch from what you're doing to another team whenever you go full time. I know they do like a lot of talks and try to get you to where you want to be and what your interests are in visa. And I remember talking to like two other managers, and I don't communicate with them often, but we share some communication, and they're not even part of my team that I'm still doing this semester. So yeah, that's my number one tip. Just get involved as well. They do host a lot of like intern events. So please like attend to those. You get free food, you get to meet new people. So I highly recommend that.
Right.
I got to throw in, you're a great salesman. You free food, that's what brings people out. Good stuff.
Exactly.
So you did internship with Visa for multiple semesters. So what have you gained from the experience? What was your favorite thing about working interning at Visa?
So my favorite thing about working at Visa was the culture. I'm big on like culture, and I remember when asking that question, my manager like went on a whole like spiel about the visa culture, and actually experiencing it on site. I can say he was 100% correct. All the people like it's more of a team based. Like it's not just individual. You're working as a team. And when I was there, it was like that because we have daily meetings. They paired us off with another intern. You have the buddy system that Dhanya said, and I took advantage of that. My buddy was my manager, so but I mean, he wanted to be. That's how he made time for me for any questions I had. So I think that was probably my favorite part of visa. And then obviously learning about just getting my professional development in. And I feel confident going to my third internship with visa.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So what are some tips or advice that you can give UTA students who are seeking an internship with Visa?
So my number one tip is join an organization, because for me, if you go to school, you go to classes, and just go to the UTA conference that they have at the MAC. I mean, you might get a job, but I think just it's different when you join an organization because you're also meeting new people that have like the same goals as you. And obviously, I don't know about all the other organizations, but like I said, SHP, they have a conference in the fall and then they have a conference in the spring. And it just helps you grow as a student and as a professional as well, because I know SHP, they do like resume workshops, they do mock interviews, and they also bring companies in to talk about, like we're doing today. You would see that there, and I'm sure other organizations do that as well. So I think that's the biggest tip, because I think if I hadn't joined SHP, I don't know if I would have had a third internship with Visa.
A quick question, kind of following up on that. I think I didn't understand what a professional organization was until I was in graduate school. We weren't encouraged to join professional organizations until I reached graduate school. Are you a graduate student, undergraduate student? And could you talk about opportunities for undergraduates? You don't necessarily have to be a graduate student to join these professional organizations. Is that correct, Leandro?
Yeah, so I'm actually an undergrad. I graduate next year. And I didn't have to go through any process or anything. I just went to a meeting and met some cool people. I came back, and then just from there, I just applied for like the community outreach position. Then I went to treasurer, and I was just involved and helping other people, helping myself as well. And I think that's my number one tip.
I just want to hop in and say I 100% agree with you, Leandro. I think that we look for that that leadership experience whenever we're looking at applicants. And I think that's what I meant earlier when I said that we look for students who have made an impact. So like you made a change, being the community outreach person and being the treasurer in your organization. You really applied yourself because I think a lot of the time students are like, as long as I get good grades, I'm going to get an internship. And that's great. Good. But a lot of people make good grades, but it's also like in addition, like what else, like who are you outside of, Leandro, the computer scientist. So I think that's great.
That is such a great point, and it would probably shock students to hear me say this. I feel a little strange, I guess, admitting it on camera to be recorded, but I have literally had companies who wanted to target GPAs that were around a 3, and they wanted to see that students had more extracurricular involvement and leadership growth and experience, and they weren't so hung up on GPA. I know, on the academic side of things, we push that. As a former teacher, I mean, you push that. You got to have, and a lot of students, kill themselves trying to maintain a 4.0 and think, if I don't have a 4.0, I'm not going to find quality opportunities, and that's just not the case. So I think students need to hear that. Obviously, you want to maintain a high GPA, especially if you're intending to go on to graduate school and that sort of thing. But there are other things that employers are going to look at on your resume. That's a great point and so important.
So my next question is, in what areas would you say you have grown most in your time with the company?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Sorry, in what areas would you say you have grown the most in your time with the company?
My areas that I've grown the most are probably just the way I approach these meetings and stuff and talking to like other people. Definitely, I remember when I was a sophomore, like I wouldn't talk as much, but now that was a big thing because we have daily meetings, especially the online one last summer. We had a lot of meetings, and I think I grew there a lot. And then professionally, I would say just how I approach things and like approach my work and have that big focus on like, teamwork. I would say those would be my top 2.
Really cool. Why would you recommend interning at Visa to other students, or recommend interning in general?
So I would recommend interning at Visa because, like I said before, the culture is incredible. And I think you're going to be feeling like a part of the team as opposed to just like an intern. I actually had another internship in the fall a year ago. And that was more like, here you go, do your job, do your work. And, we'll meet you in like 2 weeks when you're done and stuff like that. But with Visa, it's not like that. You feel like you can, I did contribute in that internship, but I mean, like, they don't make you feel like an intern, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And it's a really friendly environment as well. And they actually do take on your ideas, and if they're good, they'll take it on. So I remember for my first internship, we had to update like an old web page or application that the system analysts used, and they actually went through and everything was successful. And I believe they still use it to today. So I think that's pretty cool to know that just as a 1-year intern, they're using your final project basically.
Definitely. I think you touched on this, but can you talk about how you were evaluated as an intern?
How I what?
How you were evaluated as an intern?
Oh, okay. So we had like, I would say, like every 3 weeks we would have a meeting with our manager, like our main manager, and we would go over the goals. We would go over where we were at from the start of the internship. So let's say 2 weeks in, after you get acclimated to Visa, you would meet up. They'll tell you the expectations. They'll let you know what you have to do, and then basically that's how I was evaluated. And then towards the end, they tell you what they thought of the project and everything, give you feedback, and let you know your status with Visa, if they're going to bring you back or not. And basically that's how I was evaluated.
Right. Well, my final question is, what do you know now that you wish you'd known before the internship started?
So what I what I wish I knew was, like I said, join organizations at school. For the first semester and a half, I was actually doing mechanical engineering, and I was just a newly transferred student from TCC, and all I did was go to class, go straight home, you know. And even though mechanical engineering was in my passion, I don't think I met a single person that I know today that was in my classes back then. But now, when I joined SHP, I know, like, I have some close friends. One of my closest friends is from there, and I feel like, and he's the one that actually pushed me to go to the conference a month into the organization. So I think that's like the biggest thing I wish I would know, because I think if I had if I met new people when I was doing mechanical engineering, I think it would have turned out different, but you never know.
You know, Leandro, one thing that I hear you saying over and over again that I want to reinforce to students, that I hope they're picking up on, that the same theme is network, network, network. You know, and it sounds to me like, as you describe your experience, maybe to start your experience or early on, especially maybe being a transfer student as well. I used to work a lot with transfer students and was a transfer student myself. It wasn't a strength of, that was not a strength of mine. And it sounds like that's an area you've really grown in and pushed yourself in. Is that true? I thought you mentioned kind of being maybe a little quiet and reserved.
Yeah,
at one point.
definitely. I think that was a weakness of mine, because, like I said, first 2 years at TCC, I would just, go to school, go home, go to school, go home, and not talk to anybody. And then uh, I followed the same pattern into UTA for the first year. And once I saw like my grades weren't doing the best and this wasn't what I was passionate about, I decided to change it up, and do intramurals for the first time. I always liked sports. I was like, might as well just do that. And then from that point, it just kept on growing. I joined, like I said, SHP, and then yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah, that's really easy to do in a commuter campus. You know, at a community college, is you go to class and you go home. You know, you have to be intentional about it. As an old basketball coach and a big sports person, I had to ask, what sport would you get into? What intramurals did you play?
Basketball.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
right.
yeah, in high school, I played basketball, and
Okay, super.
TCC, I really didn't go, but at UTA, that's where I met a couple of friends too that I have. We won the intramurals. We were having fun, and then yeah, just
See,
meeting
now
new people. Like I said, networking.
I was going to say, now I want to talk about your bracket, but we won't get into all that, the
Oh
NCAA.
no, that's
Before Ayesha wraps this up, Dhanya, did you have anything that you'd like to add in closing, or anything that you thought of that maybe we wanted to share?
I just wanted to agree with you there, David, about the networking piece. Leandro, I wanted to highlight that you said that you went out of your way to meet with people like outside of your team too. That is great. Encourage you to do that again this summer too. I know that it's hard as a student, and even for me too, as I look at like different career opportunities for myself. I know going out of my way to kind of network with people that I don't know, it's tough, right? But I think it is, I will say honestly, the best way to kind of get where it is that you want to go. Get out of your comfort zone, meet with people, network wherever it is that whoever's watching this, even if you don't intern with us, whatever company you intern with, look outside of your direct team, look outside of your direct organization even, and talk to leadership to take out those opportunities. And as you network, I would say my last piece of advice there is to come kind of with a game plan. So don't just go in kind of being like, hey, how's it going? Come in with some like questions about what it is that you want to learn about said leader. What do you think that, you can gain from that conversation and go in? I think networking is like the best thing that you can do as a student. Networking not only with leadership, but also with your peers too in university. Like Leandro said, it's gotten him to good places too. So I think that that's kind of like my last words of advice there.
Yeah, and
Too.
don't be scared to ask questions as well. That's a
Absolutely.
big thing that I struggle with.
I still struggle with that too, Leandro. So I definitely agree. There's no such thing as a dumb question. It's true, right?
Right. You feel like you need to know everything coming in. You don't want to look like you don't, you know.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And, you know, again, being intentional about networking is another fantastic point. You know, that's why we encourage students, really strongly encourage students to utilize LinkedIn, you know, and, you know, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to ask questions through LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to even do some research on LinkedIn. If you're going to a networking event and you want to know about someone's background and where they came from, what their career progression was like, you can see all of that in many cases on LinkedIn. So we strongly encourage you to do your research there. Before Aisha kind of wraps things up, I just wanted to personally thank you all. You've been fantastic. You really presented a lot of great information. Thank you for your time. Aisha, you want to wrap us up, please?
Yeah, I don't believe we have any questions that has been left unanswered. So thank you all for attending today's student intern panel. Again, you will find the links to more information on the comments. Thank you again, panelists. Best of luck for the fall semester.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Take care. Good luck.
Bye.